in regards to enhancing election security and increasing transparency. Dale, your platform emphasizes the need to enhance election security by implementing cutting-edge technologies and protocols to protect against fraud and interference. Can you provide specific examples of the technologies and protocols you plan to introduce and how they will effectively safeguard our elections? Additionally, how will you increase transparency with the electoral process to ensure greater public oversight and confidence?
So people think that enhanced technology needs to be something new and innovative and creative, but sometimes less is more. We have the technology, we've had the technology to count ballots effectively for thousands of years, and then these digits right here. So we really need to get back to basics and start hand counting ballots again, having rigorous audits, of our elections post-election, so that we can give the electorate the confidence that our elections are safe and secure. That's how we do that. This is nothing new. It's something we've been doing for a long time in the United States and across the world. The reality is that machine counting has actually slowed down the process of counting ballots. And hand counting was actually much more efficient at a precinct level. Unfortunately, that's not going to go away overnight. However, we need to secure our ballots and our votes by effectively auditing after every single election, whether that's a presidential primary, whether that's a special election. We must go in and conduct very rigorous audits of those elections to ensure that what's coming out of the machine is what we're counting by hand. Clarifying the second part of the question.
Hello? I can't hear back there.
Difficult hearing in the back.
Additionally, how will you increase transparency within the electoral process to ensure greater public oversight and confidence?
Mike?
Do we have any election observers in here? Anyone? Okay. I don't know about in Clark County, but in Spokane County, when election observers get too close, they're told to back up, you're making people uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but voting is the most fundamental civic duty we have in our republic, and it has to be safeguarded. If you are being paid to count ballots, then you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. We have the right to observe and ensure that our elections are safe. I'm going to put the auditors on notice that you cannot claim bullying without evidence. You cannot claim that people are dissenting and making people uncomfortable. That is not grounds for you to throw election observers out, and it always leans one-sided. We know this. So transparency is you get to do your job as election observers while we're counting ballots to ensure that the ballots are being counted properly, that the signatures are matching, and you should be able to call into question if you guys see something that ought not be passed. So if there's a signature you guys think doesn't match, you should be able to make a note of it and it should be reviewed. These aren't difficult tasks to implement. There's just certain people don't want to implement them, right? So these are very easy things that we can do and accomplish.
Thank you so much for being here.
To improve accessibility to voting and strengthening community ties, what strategies do you propose to expand access to voting for all Washingtonians, including those with disabilities, language barriers, or living in remote areas? How will you work with local communities to understand and address their specific needs and challenges in this regard?
Well, first, it's not the right of all Washingtonians to vote, it's only the right of the citizen to vote, so I want to clarify. Secondly, we have a great example of this in Snohomish County. There's a gentleman running for legislature there called Sam Sim. He's a Korean American. He's broken barriers. The Koreans are coming out in droves, realizing they're not Democrats or Republicans. So we use that model. We get into these communities that are very Republican. They just don't know it. There's a language barrier. We need to utilize folks like Sam to get into these communities and say, guys, you've been lied to. You've been sold a bill of goods that isn't true. You are truly a family-oriented culture, like the Koreans, even the Chinese, the Japanese. They are very family-oriented cultures. So we need to engage with them and let them know there's a party out there who's willing to fight for these values. The other part was the first part. I apologize.
The need to enhance election security by implementing cutting-edge technologies.
Yeah. Well, no, that was the first question. Sorry. That was so long. Sorry, I apologize. I forget the
Strategies to propose to expand access to voting. You just talked about language barriers, disabilities, living in remote areas.
Okay. So expanding accessibility. So there were 60,000 ballots that were returned because of in the presidential primary without the party declaration checked on the front of their ballot. That is stifling the vote. The Democrats like to talk about accessibility. Well, there were 60,000 people in the state of Washington who didn't feel like their Washington State constitutional right to privacy of the vote was being upheld, so they returned their ballots without checking the box. Their votes didn't count. That is not improving accessibility, that is stifling it. We absolutely must give those who want access to in-person voting the right to go and vote in person. And let's not conflate dropping them a ballot at the auditor's office with in-person voting. It's not the same thing. The Democrats like to say, well, you can vote in person, you can go drop your ballot off at the auditor's office. They're just going to throw it in the pile. That's not what we mean. We want the community to get together, we want to go down together, and despite our differences, we're going to get together and go vote for those that we want to represent us in the state of Washington. That's how we're going to improve accessibility, expanding the way that we can vote.